Good morning, Abundant Life Creators. How are you all doing? Thank you so much for tuning in. So the reason why I'm actually making this video today is to talk about the journey of personal growth and development. If you've taken time to follow the page, you notice that yesterday I sent a post, or I actually posted a post concerning the journey of personal growth and development. And the first thing that we talked about is the aspect of self-development. So the reason why I am doing this video is because I wanted to highlight a few things that for the purposes of making you, our readers, more enlightened and to understand how you can actually go about it, and talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons of it. So yeah, feel free to share your comments. If you've actually been on this journey before, you can share your experience with us in the comment section of this video, and let us know some of the challenges that you might have faced. You can also share with us some of the benefits that you might have experienced from going through this journey, because I understand that not all of us are on the same journey. Others have already begun, they are at a better place in their lives, and then others are just starting out. So your experience can actually be of great help to others. So please do feel free to share in the comment section. Tell us a little bit more about your journey, how you went about it, and if there's anything from this journey that resonates with your experience, please do share as well in the comment section. Let's engage and let's go on. So when it comes to the journey of personal growth and development, I believe that the first place that you're supposed to start from is a place of self-discovery. So there are different categories when it comes to self-discovery, where in the aspect of self-discovery, you can start by understanding where you are at presently before you can actually go to a place where you understand where you want to be. So most of us, when we are embarking on this journey of personal growth and development, the first thing that we actually do is we determine where we want to be, and we go ahead and start setting goals and action steps that we're supposed to take to get us to that place, without taking time to sit down and see where we are, or some of the things that have been causing us to be where we are. And what happens is that the moment that you embark on this journey and you start you set your goals, you start acting on your goals, you get to a point where you get stuck because you had not dealt with the source of your limiting beliefs, your fears, your mindset. You have not dealt with your emotions. As a result, you always get to a point in your goals where you feel stuck and you just can't go on. You tend to give up. If you've seen people that start something and then they stop at a certain point, then they start another thing and then they stop, that inconsistency is as a result of some of the things that you are actually battling within you. And as long as you have not taken time to discover and uncover those things and deal with them, then you continuously see yourself going through circles. You continuously see yourself doing the same thing, struggling with the same challenges, with the same problem every now and then. So you see, when it comes to, let's say if you want to build a house, you want to build an upstairs house, your focus is in as much as you want a good design, in as much as you want maybe a 3 or 4 story building, your focus should not only be on how it should look on the outside, but mostly on how the foundation should be, because it is how strong the foundation is that will determine how stable that building is going to be. The foundation will also determine how long that building is able to stand. Maybe the situation, maybe there's an earthquake or anything. An earthquake is the first thing that came to my mind, so we don't have it here in Zambia. But so basically, the foundation of a thing is important because it will determine how far you are able to go. So when it comes to the journey of personal growth and development, I believe that the foundation upon which you build your personal development is very important. And in order for you to build the right foundation, you have to deal with a foundation that you have presently built your life on. And in order for you to do that, you have to be truthful with yourself. You have to take time to sit down and evaluate yourself. So the first part of self-discovery is evaluation and self-reflection. So when it comes to evaluation and self-reflection, don't be too quick to sit down and think, what do I want to become, what do I want to achieve, or how much money do I want to have in my account, how much um, how much career success do I want to make. Those are good, yes, but I think there's a time when the right time will come when you can actually look at that. But when you sit down right now, presently, the first thing that you have to ask yourself is that, where am I right now? What kind of mindsets have I built my life around? What kind of thought processes have I been dealing with? What kind of struggles have I been having? Like, what kind of negative thoughts do I constantly tell myself? So you sit down and evaluate your now. And in that evaluation, you have to look at different aspects of your life. Okay? So you have to look at, you can look at your spiritual life, you can look at your mindset, you can look at your emotions, you can look at your spiritual life, you can look at your finances, your career. If you're in school, you can look at your academics. If you're doing business, you can look at your business. If you're in a relationship or you're married, you can look at that. And you are evaluating yourself in totality. Like, you're taking time to look at where you are now. Where am I in my spiritual life? If you discover that in your spiritual life you're not growing, you're not praying, you're not reading the word of God, you start asking yourself questions like, okay, why am I where I am right now? Why am I struggling with my prayer life? Why am I struggling with my word life? If, let's say, it is on the aspect of finances, let's say you're in school and you always receive money from your parents, in as much as you're independent, but it is also good to look at your financial aspect, because the habits that you are building with your finances as a student are the same habits that you're going to be struggling with when you start working. So if your parents send you money every day, every time in school, and all you do is spend the money on everything else, you buy yourself food, you take yourself out, you don't even save a little bit, you develop that spending culture that will become difficult for you when you start working to start saving and investing for the future. So you look at that, you look at your relationships, your friendships. If you are a person who does not have a lot of friends, or you struggle making friends, you ask yourself, okay, why is it that I struggle having friends? Why is it that I don't have people in my life that can encourage me, that can support me? What is it about what beliefs have I built in the aspect of relationships? You may find that maybe you had an experience when you were growing up that caused you to not easily trust people. So maybe you were betrayed, or maybe you were betrayed by your best friend, or you were betrayed by a lover in a relationship, and you discover that your perception about relationship, you look at everybody like, oh, okay, nobody can be trusted. So as a result, you tend not to hold on or manage your relationships very well, because you have a certain mindset, a negative mindset towards others. You believe no one is in your life for a good thing. Everybody that is coming in is just fake. There's no true friends there. So you have to sit down, evaluate yourself, and see why you are where you are. And in this exercise of evaluation, I personally believe writing is going to actually help you a lot, because when you sit down to write down what you are discovering about yourself, it will help you also be able to know if you are making progress as you continue on this journey. So you can have a book where you can take time to write down everything that you discover about yourself, your mindset. If you have a negative mindset and you constantly think, okay, I'm not good enough, you look at yourself and you think to say, okay, you constantly tell yourself that I'm a failure. My life has no meaning. There's nothing that I can do with my life. So you sit down and start asking yourself, where exactly are these thoughts coming from? Is it that you had an experience in your childhood or whilst growing up that, okay, maybe there was an experience that you had whilst growing up that caused you to feel you are not good enough? Okay, and once you discover that, once you discover those experiences, it's also good to write them down. You can write them down. You cannot write the whole thing like the way I used to do it. you can write it down and then take notes so that you identify where the source of the problem is. If maybe you grew up in a home where you were not loved, or your parents maybe you grew up in a family where you had a single mom or something. If you had grown in a family where it's a single parent and maybe you never experienced the love of a father or the love of a mother, it may have affected you in a certain way. So you also have to sit down and identify some of the experiences that you went through as a child or as an adult, as a teenager, that caused you to think the way that you think about yourself. And what that does is that once you know those experiences, you understand the things that actually trigger you to think those thoughts. So if, for example, you identify that the reason why you feel that you are a failure is because whilst in school maybe you did a test and then you failed and then your teacher was laughing at you, your teacher passed a comment and called you down in school, and as a result everybody around you in your class started calling you down. That may have affected you as a person because you are a child. You cannot tell, okay, this action, or you cannot actually tell if some of the thoughts running in your mind are actually okay. So because your friends around you were laughing at you and making fun of you and calling you down, you took that as your identity and you started to carry it like, oh, okay, I'm a failure, I'm down. And because you have held on to that for a long time, even as you grew up in school, you found it hard to express yourself in class, answer questions, because you felt, oh, as we are down. But the truth of the matter is that you are not down. Because of that experience that you went through, it developed the kind of mindset that you have. It developed the kind of belief system that you have about yourself concerning your academics, and that is why you failed. So once you identify that, you will be able to know, okay, what am I supposed to do now to help me deal with this mindset and develop a growth mindset that will help me become an A+ student. So for me, I wanted to show you guys something. I'm actually not talking from without, I'm talking from within, because I have also been on the journey of personal growth and development, and for me, I took time to evaluate myself. So this is one of the books that I have, I use, though you guys cannot really see much, and it's a personal book, so it's just for me to read. But what I used to do is that I used to take time to evaluate myself. So the first time I started evaluating myself, it wasn't an easy thing, I will not lie to you guys. It was really hard, because at first I found it hard to open up to myself and be true to myself. You know, when you discover certain things about yourself that you don't like, sometimes you wouldn't want to admit it, and you would try to hide and think, okay, no, that's not me. But then you have to get to a place where you are truthful with yourself and accept to say, okay, I made these mistakes, I went through this experience, this traumatic experience has happened to me, and they caused me to be where I am, but they do not define who I am. Okay, so for me, some of the mistakes I made, which I would want you people to actually learn from, is the fact that when I first started my personal development journey or self-evaluation, some of the things that I struggled with was the fact that when I evaluate myself, I used to beat myself So I used to beat myself about what I started discovering about myself. In that, when I discovered that I had a negative mindset and a negative belief system about myself, and I discovered the negative self-talks that I had within myself, the time when I started evaluating and writing them down, because for me what I would do is that when I sit down, I was like, okay, I have a negative mindset towards maybe, let's say, friendships, towards my finances, maybe because of this and this that happened. And instead of using that evaluation to help me get to a place where I gain some wisdom points on what I am supposed to do in order for me to come out from that place, I started looking down on myself. I started identifying myself with those thoughts that I had discovered about myself, because I started feeling that, oh, okay, I'm such a negative person, I'm such a bad person. Why is it that I'm always struggling with these thoughts? Why is it that I'm thinking like this? There's no way that I can come out of it. Like, I constantly beat myself about it when I was evaluating myself. So one thing I want you to know is that when you're evaluating yourself, you don't look at it like that is who you are. Okay, that is not who you are. That is the things that happened to you caused you to be where you are, and presently shaped the kind of perspective that you have. But then it does not define you as a person. Instead of looking down on yourself after writing them, look at them like, okay, so these are the mistakes that I made. I thought negative about myself. I was not fair with myself. I was not fair with myself in the past. So you accept that, and then you take a U-turn. Say, okay, so because now I understand that some of the situations that used to trigger these thoughts are these things. So now that if I find myself in a situation that is similar to this, instead I will not look at myself that I'm a failure. Instead, I will look at myself like I made mistakes. Maybe I didn't study so hard, and that is why I failed. Okay, so let me give it in this example. Imagine you had a test and then you failed the test, and then you sit down to evaluate yourself. And once you're evaluating yourself, you discover that maybe you didn't study hard, or maybe you had a fight with your friend, or a family problem that had happened that had caused you not to study hard, or maybe you were just lazy and you just didn't feel like studying, or you had spent the entire day watching movies, and as a result you didn't study effectively and you failed the test. So when you sit down to evaluate yourself, you now start asking yourself questions like, but why did I fail the test? Then you identify it. You say, okay, I failed because I was lazy. I did not, the time I was supposed to be studying, I was watching a movie, or I had a family emergency that prevented me from studying the way I was supposed to study, and as a result, I failed. So once you identify those things, should not identify yourself to say, oh, because I did these things, that means I'm a failure. No, you are not a failure. What you can actually do is that now try and find solutions. What is it that you will do differently the next time that will prevent you from attaining, or from being in that place where you failed again? So basically, self development, briefly, I hope what I have shared makes a little bit of sense and is going to be able to help you. So when you start this journey, please start from where you are now. Look at where you are, evaluate yourself. We are on a different journey in life. Where I am, what I'm doing, the challenges that I'm facing are different from yours. But then be truthful to yourself. Sit down and ask yourself tough questions. I will probably take time to share some of the questions that you can ask yourself when it comes to personal growth and development. When you want to discover yourself or discover where you are presently, ask yourself those questions. Take time to write. Don't just sit and think, because when you think and not write it, you will tend to forget. The issue here is that you have to be able to measure your growth with time. So if you're in a place where you're completely negative about yourself in all aspects, what happens is that if you're able to write them down, 3, 4, 5 months from now, you can look back, read what you wrote, and look at where you are now, or where you will be at that point, and you discover to say, oh, okay, I have grown. And for me, that was how I have been able to tell that I have been growing, because I was taking time to write down, evaluate myself in all aspects of my life, and as a result, I was able to take note of some of the changes that I have been noticing. So you can actually do the same. Invest time in yourself. It is important to write down. Dedicate time for yourself. You should know that you are worth it. You should know that you are worth it, and you should value yourself to a point that you will take time to grow yourself in order for you to become the person that you're supposed to be. So if you have any questions, please take time to ask. If you, like I said at the beginning, if you want to share any of your experiences, please do take time. I will share another video after we continue, but then be on the lookout for more posts on how you can go about your personal growth and development, and some of the questions that you can ask yourself in the moment of evaluation. So thank you so much, and I hope you're intentional about your growth, you're intentional about yourself. Remember, you're worth it. where you are right now is not the end of the world. Don't think that you cannot be better. Change is possible, and it's only possible if you can actually engage yourself in it, be committed, and commit yourself to taking the steps that needs to be taken. And the first step is get to a place where you discover yourself. Start by discovering where you are at before we go to the next stage, which I will be able to share in our next video. So thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day and take care.